At this point in time in my life, I can't be picky, so I beg, borrow, and steal my way into whatever airplanes people allow me to fly, whether it's Cessna 182s, Cherokee 140s, Cirrus, or even a multi-engine. I had an opportunity to fly in Navajo for several hours. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Chandler Tower, Cherokee 4121 Tango is at Chandler Air Service. We have Zulu, and we'd like a south departure, please.
What does it take to be an angel? Where does the sun go when it sleeps? Is every star that shines so brightly in the sky another promise I must keep? I know I should by now. It isn't written in the stars, just shadows.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Student Pilot Cast. Here's another episode from OSH 22 This is the second of two interviews that I did with the state of Oklahoma. And this is one where I talked to Grayson Ardies, who's the director of the Oklahoma Aerospace Commission. Grayson breaks down a little bit here what they're doing over in Oklahoma to promote aviation and aerospace in the state. So I hope you enjoy our little chat. Welcome back, SPC listeners. We're here for another feature at OSH 2022, and I have the pleasure of being here with Grayson Ardies from Oklahoma. What is your role?
So I'm the director of the Oklahoma Aeronautical Commission. We're a state agency in Oklahoma for all things aviation, aerospace, and in our airport system.
All right. Well, I always like to start with the personal.
Yep.
You are a pilot?
I am a pilot. So I went through the great University of Oklahoma's aviation program, graduated in 2009, got all my flight certificates, private pilot, commercial pilot, multi-engine, CFI, instrument rating. It was some of the best times I've ever had learning to be a flying student at University of Oklahoma.
Awesome. So you stayed in aviation. You didn't go somewhere else, as some do. What do you like to fly?
Pretty much anything that goes in the air. You know, at this point in time in my life, I can't be picky, so I beg, borrow, and steal my way into whatever airplanes people allow me to fly, whether it's Cessna 182s, Cherokee 140s, Cirrus, or even a multi-engine. I had an opportunity to fly in Navajo for several hours. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Very good. We were just talking about this, but you haven't flown the approach here into Oshkosh before. Maybe next year?
Maybe. That is on my bucket list to actually fly into Oshkosh. I've flown around Oshkosh, but I actually haven't flown into Oshkosh and landed on one of the dots yet. So maybe next year I'll get to check that box.
It's certainly an experience, and when you hear that controller say, "Nice job, welcome to Oshkosh," makes it all worth it.
It does. That's so I've heard from others that have flown in here that it's very stressful, but once you get on the ground, it's like this wave of emotion just comes over and you're like, I'm here.
That's true. All right, tell me a little bit about what the state of Oklahoma is doing, what you're doing in your role to promote aviation, and especially as it pertains to helping people get into aviation and learn how to be a pilot or other jobs in the industry. What are you doing in Oklahoma that's maybe different from other states?
Absolutely. So in Oklahoma, we have a rich aviation heritage. So we all know about Wiley Post. Some probably heard about Pearl Carter Scott. More recently, you have General Tom Stafford, great astronaut and promoting the space program. Even though we're a new state, fairly new state when it comes to the state of Oklahoma, we have a long heritage in aviation. It's our second largest industry, $44 billion a year annual economic impact. We are known as the MRO state, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. So we make parts, we fix parts, we keep airplanes up in the air, whether it's Tinker Air Force Base, American Airlines, the F.A. Monroney Center. But our number one challenge in Oklahoma is workforce. Just like the entire industry is experiencing right now across the country and really across the world, workforce is our number one challenge. So how do we get people excited about the aviation career field? Thank you to the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association for starting the You Can Fly program about 6 years ago. We had one school in Oklahoma field testing. I think you're interviewing the gentleman that's teaching it there today. Ada, Oklahoma started one in about 4 years ago. Today, we now have 57 schools across the state of Oklahoma teaching that curriculum, number one in the country, and really leading the charge to ensure that our workforce is going to be ready for the future. Our Department of Commerce, who's here with us at the Oshkosh Air Show, we're out recruiting companies to try and come to Oklahoma. Throughout the pandemic, Oklahoma was seen as a fly-to state. for businesses and entities wanting to relocate and expand their potential into Oklahoma. And so obviously that means more workers, more people. We'll have a lot of folks that are retiring currently in the industry. And so we're hoping that the You Can Fly program, along with our other grant programs that we do in the state of Oklahoma, whether it's summer camps, after school programs, robotics competitions, drone competitions, really just trying to get that whole overarching perspective of how can you get our young people excited about aviation aerospace careers.
Well, how's it going? How many kids do you think you've affected?
So we regularly affect thousands of students every single year. The issue is that we may only get to touch them for a week during a summer camp, or we may only get to show them a day or two with an EAA Young Eagles flight. But this AOPA program is going to be the entire 4 years of their high school career. And so really gives them that full immersion experience. I know I would have loved to have had that going through high school instead of taking general physics or a general math class, that I could go make it directly applicable to aviation and aerospace. Would have been absolutely amazing.
I agree.
So, and fortunately we all got into aviation without those, but I'm hopeful that the aviation classes will spur that many more people into taking it. The two things right now that we're seeing that are really generating some excitement in the industry, of course, drones, UAS, AAM, is the big thing. A lot of kids are joining the industry because of that. And the other is the commercial space transportation sector. We've heard back in the 60s and 70s we had the space race, between us and the Soviets was a very big energy lifter for the aviation aerospace industry. Everybody wanted to go support their country. Commercial space transportation is kind of bringing that back throughout the whole of the industry. And we're seeing that in Oklahoma too, especially considering we have a spaceport out in western Oklahoma.
Very cool. So you've been partnering with AOPA. You brought in the Learn to Fly program in a big way. I think you're doing more of those high school programs than any other state. Is that correct?
That is correct. Number one in the country. Very proud of it.
Perfect. So what has it been like to work with AOPA through this process, and what do you think of the curriculum in the program?
So in Oklahoma, we've known workforce is a big challenge. We've been looking for a adoptable 4-year curriculum to put in our high schools for probably at least going back 2 decades, if not longer. We've always tried as a state to do that, and we just couldn't put it together because of the cost, because of the complexity, and I'm just so thankful for AOPA willing to invest and do this curriculum for free for schools all across the country. And so I think the curriculum is top notch. All the teachers we've talked to in Oklahoma love it. We just were able to host the teacher training for AOPA, first time they've taken it out of Frederick, Maryland. We had that about 3 weeks ago in Oklahoma. Mark Baker, president of AOPA, was there in the great state of Oklahoma. We were glad to have him. I just so excited about what AOPA can offer, and I'm just so thankful that they're able to undertake this because the cost of it is significant to do something like this. And like I said, we've tried in Oklahoma, we just could never get there, and so I'm glad that AOPA was able to do this and then spread that out to the entire country.
Yeah, I'm sure they're taking a lot of feedback from you. Is the program sort of evolving as you work together?
Yes, so one of the things that we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what other states can do this too. I mean, obviously we're glad to be number one in Oklahoma and love that, but one of the best forms of flattery is other people trying to emulate what you're doing. And so we're trying to share that news with other states, with other state aviation agencies to say, hey, you guys need to look at this in your state, look at what Oklahoma's doing, try and emulate that because it's going to be a team effort. This isn't just state to state, it's going to be the entire country trying to solve the workforce challenges of getting more pilots, mechanics, flight attendants, engineers, the whole gamut.
Yeah, and maybe you can poach some of those to come work in Oklahoma at some point.
Well, that's what we're here for. Telling the story about what Oklahoma has to offer. Oklahoma's a great state, great place to live. Been there my whole life, and the hardest challenge we have is getting people to the state. Yeah, people think of Oklahoma, they're like, well, I don't want to go to Oklahoma. What's Oklahoma have to offer? But once we get people here, they're sold immediately. It's that aura of just really good, personable, friendly people willing to open up their doors and roll out the red carpet and just make them feel like they're part of the family from the first moment they've stepped in the state.
Perfect. Well, Grayson, thank you very much. We really appreciate the time today, and best of luck to you in the program.
Thank you. Appreciate this.
Well, there you go. Like I said in my previous episode, Oklahoma is absolutely killing it right now, driving results and getting participation in these aviation programs. So let's hope for their continued success. And I appreciate the leadership that they're showing there in Oklahoma, and I hope other places kind of catch on and do some of the same things and do it even better. So I hope you enjoyed that little chat, and if you missed it, I did have another one. It was my previous episode where I talked to Chris Eckler, who's a high school teacher in the state who not only taught his students using the AOPA I Can Fly curriculum, but he went through it himself and learned to fly and got his private pilot certificate alongside his students a few years back. So that's pretty cool as well. So if you did miss it, go check that out. In the meantime, I'd love to know what you think about this, and I'd love to hear other stories of organizations and people kind of doing some of these same things. In other words, getting people, especially young people, interested in aviation and getting them the education that they need to be able to participate. I'd love to always find out more. You can reach me, by the way, through email at bill@studentpilotcast.com, or you can use the contact form on our website. That's studentpilotcast.com. You can also reach me on Twitter using the Twitter handle BillWill. That's Bravo India Lima Lima Whiskey India Lima. So I'd love to hear from you as always, and hopefully you'll subscribe for more content from AirVenture 2022, as well as other places that I'm going to be publishing in the next few weeks. Keep in mind, our YouTube channel is very, very small, and not many people know about it yet. So I could use all the likes and subscriptions and comments and everything else that you might want to do here. It would really help us out, but it's up to you. I'm mostly talking to you, my favorite viewer and my favorite listener, but you know who you are. If you want to catch the audio episodes of my podcast, you can look in the comments or in the description below, and you can find a link to be able to subscribe to those. But you can also find them in iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pocket Casts, any place that you get podcasts. You should be able to find us there under Student Pilot Cast. So go listen however you want. As I've stated before, most of our content from Student Pilot Cast is audio, but we're just starting to do a little bit more video here. So I hope you're enjoying it, and I'd love feedback. But any way you listen, we'd love to have you join the SPC family. Until the next one, go learn to do something in flying, and I'll catch you soon.